Hi, welcome to the session. My name is Scott DeBlay. I'm a principal technologist at Boomi, which is a Dell Technologies business. Today, we're going to talk about the importance of data services. And I'm going to explain data services in kind of a unique way as we get into the session. But we're all going to talk about data, right? Data certainly is the lifeblood of the organization, as you well know. And we want to make sure that that data is driving all the value that it possibly can. You've probably all seen statements similar to this, where every business needs to be a digital organization, right? And what this really means is that if we harness the power of data, if we unlock the data, if you will, across all your various applications and build digital environments and digital ecosystems around that data, you can often really speed up the business, find unique characteristics, even bring new products to market. You know, we all live in this multi-cloud world with a ton of different applications, so this is very important to be able to do this. And speaking of applications, we have a lot of them, right? You can certainly probably recognize on this slide uh, several applications you use in your organization today. I'm sure there's many, many others that we could add to this list, right? Used to be not that long ago, we had a small number of applications that did a lot of things, big application suites. And now today we have more and more pointed applications, and we have applications that are installed on your premises. I'm sure you're using applications that you're outsourcing as software as a service. You may even have applications that you've moved to a cloud provider. So we have applications all over the place, which is great. And we have a multi-cloud environment that allows a lot of flexibility. One of the challenges though with all those applications is that each application holds data, right? Each application is producing data, each application is consuming data. And if we're building islands, we really aren't driving the business forward, right? It's really when we can unlock the power of all those applications and the data within those applications that really helps us move forward and drive some unique characteristics. And again, we live in a multi-cloud world, which is great. There's a lot of characteristics of multi-cloud that add a lot of value. But if all those applications are disconnected, it can really kill digital transformation, right? We have a variety of different tools. Maybe we're doing some level integration between some applications. Maybe other things are not being done at all. Worst case, we still have manual processes in the organization. And we simply need to help address those things so we can really speed up the organization and do business, if you will, at the speed of digital. So when you have a connected organization, not only are those business processes accelerated and the outcomes more rich, but you can also do things with that data that maybe you didn't know you could do before. It really starts to unlock some unique value. So I want to take an approach of what I call application support. I want to walk through this from a layer perspective. So I submit to you that all of us in IT are here to make sure that our data services, digital services, that all our applications and all our data records are doing exactly what they should be doing, right? That they have the right performance, that they're available to all the end users that need to access that information, that they have the ample storage to continue to grow and scale, right? That they're secure, and that they're providing functionality for the business, right? Let's be honest, nobody installs an application because it's fun. Maybe sometimes, but most of the time we install applications because they're critical for some aspect of the business, whether that's a specific individual or the entire business as a whole. Those applications are critical, and we need to make sure they have the right services. And furthermore, when we provide the right data services for those applications, as I mentioned before, we can really unlock a lot of value. So I want to talk about some various services that we wrap around those, right? Obviously, we have network characteristics, whether that's a LAN, WAN, the combination of the two, a lot of new things within networking. And I would submit that that certainly is a service that supports the application, right? If the application isn't connected, awful hard to communicate with it. There is a ton of on-premises infrastructure, a wide variety of server storage capabilities, and ever-changing, ever-expanding, certainly some really cool things when it comes to that, obviously. And there's, of course, cloud-provided infrastructure, whether that's the big hyperscalers that we're all familiar with, or the hundreds of others that exist in the world as well. Typically, on top of that, we're going to be running a virtual infrastructure. All of you, of course, very familiar with VMware, the most popular virtual infrastructure company in the world, right? And even stretching that virtual infrastructure across the multi-cloud environment. So I gain efficiencies of operations and all the things that brings to the table with that, right? Running virtual machines, typically Windows or Linux in the environment today, but a wide variety of capabilities there. more and more applications are being deployed inside of containers. So here we have a great services stack from the network for infrastructure to virtual infrastructure, obviously the operating system through virtual machines or containers to support running those services, applications, and records. We want to make sure that they're all protected through data protection. A wide variety of characteristics that you can add to that, right? From security to monitoring to outright protection in itself. But there's more to it than that, obviously, as well. We want to make sure that those applications have the proper data services, that the data within the application is fully discoverable, that we can unlock the value of that the data may be integrated with other applications that really need to have that information shared in a digital electronic way, right? That the data is synchronized or a master data management type functionality. Again, you may have applications that hold similar information that if it updated in one application, if it's not updated across everything else, again, it can really impact a business. More and more today, of course, around API management and unique user workflows. So all those applications and records are really driving business value. A little different approach to this as we help you as you're looking at, as you're looking at applications and rationalizing where they should belong, right? There's a variety of different operational infrastructures as well. There's bare metal, and there's still a lot of applications in the marketplace today that are well suited to run on bare metal architectures. Maybe you just need the full horsepower of all that compute and processing power for whatever that application stack happens to be. Certainly, there's virtualized. VMware pioneered this. VMware, well established, very, very powerful product, of course, in the virtualization market. And really what we did here is we separated out storage from compute, made compute very scalable. A lot of capabilities, of course, in the hypervisor functionality and what VMware brought to market. But if you look at the both of those, right, we're running operating systems and we're running applications, and those applications are producing and consuming data. The more modern architecture of hyperconverged. And again, some great operational characteristics with that, a lot of multi-cloud characteristics in a similar fashion of being able to scale up and scale down and the power that hyperconverged infrastructure brings. Again, similar though, at the end of the day, that infrastructure is running applications and those applications are producing and consuming data. Modern infrastructure even further as we roll out applications and containers, whether you're developing applications inside of your own environment and maybe microservices that you're deploying in containers, or I would suspect in the not too distant future that we will begin getting off-the-shelf applications that we deploy in our data center that more often we run inside of containers themselves, right? But again, a container is doing what? It's hosting an application, and that application is producing and consuming data. And again, as I mentioned, even if you went off to a cloud provider, right, and the big ones or the many others, as I mentioned before, still likely running a hypervisor in that environment, whether it's in an operating system or inside of a container. But again, applications and data. So what we want to do is make sure that we're not building islands, right? Whether the application is best suited for bare metal or the application is being deployed in microservices on a containerized deployment today, we want to make sure that there is a data services layer that helps connect all these capabilities together, helps really unlock that data, if you will. And that's what I'm going to talk about with the Boomi platform, is the data services that Boomi can really help you with in driving all these unique things that you can bring to the market. I should say bring to your organization and ultimately help you in the market that you're competing against today. Right? If we look at a number of different data services, and I'll highlight them as we go on into the presentation, but I think you'll find that it becomes very interesting. As important, for example, as it is to have extremely reliable hardware, all the information or all the performance that you need and scalability you need to that side of it, as important it is to have it back up and have it secure, as the same importance when it comes to the needs of the application, whether it needs data from external sources or it's sharing its data with external sources itself, or a variety of both of those. That data services layer is really critical. So what does Boomi do? We help you connect everything in your digital ecosystem. As we mentioned before, you have a variety of different applications, and probably many, many of them across your organization, right? So what we are is the conduit or the plumbing, if you will, between all those applications. Really, again, unlock the data, connect the data, and provide unique data services. Maybe you need to build an API to your partner ecosystem where your customers are asking you for a way to do digital business with your organization, maybe submit an order to you, right, through that method. Maybe that's an EDI functionality or an API functionality. That might be, when it hits your environment, engaging 2 or 3 or 4 different applications or different systems that really would place that order. But you can wrap all those and integrate all those systems together And then again, provide that automatic API so all those automated business processes happen for you. So this is the typical integration challenge that Boomi hears a lot from our customers. And again, the challenges when it comes to data services being consistent across the organization. So let's just say I have 6 applications. It really doesn't matter what those 6 are. You can see I have some logos on these circles here, but this could be any application in your variety or any 6 applications or in your environment. And again, certainly it's probably more than 6, but hopefully this will get some thought process going, right? So maybe you start with a simple integration between 2 applications. This might be a native integration functionality within the application itself, or maybe somebody wrote something that was custom in some scripting language perhaps, right? That becomes the second one, and that becomes the third one. And ultimately, it ends up with something like this, right? A variety of different tools, a variety of different interfaces, a variety of different programming languages. And it's okay until something breaks, and something obviously will break at some point. And then figuring out what's going on and troubleshooting that really becomes a challenge. Even just understanding what it's doing in the first place and understanding your data flow, or where data really should be going, and what's communicating amongst these applications can be a challenge with this, right? The classic example of Bob or Susie who wrote an integration in some development language and is no longer with the company, that happens to break due to maybe an upgrade in an endpoint application, and now we're trying to figure out what's going on, right? And it really becomes a challenge for IT organizations. So the Boomi solution is to centralize all of that, to have this consistent platform of data services that really unlock that value and simplify all those integrations and all those other capabilities, where we become the hub, if you will, the center of your connected business. And all the capabilities of the Boomi platform, talking to all your variety of applications that need to communicate. So you have one interface to go to manage your integrations, or manage your central data management, manage your API management. And again, very, very easy to use from a graphical standpoint to understand what's going on. We call it the Boomi AtomSphere platform, and it is an entire suite of services. As I mentioned, I call them data services that really unlock the power of your data and bring you a whole bunch of unique characteristics. I'm not going to go into these specifically as to what they do. These are all the various components of the Boomi platform, but I would like to highlight, what does Boomi do? You know, what are these data services that I keep talking about that can really help you? Well, here is a listing of most of the ones on the Boomi platform. Certainly not an exhaustive list. There's a lot of additional things we can do as well, such as events and those types of things. But let's just highlight some of them that are most common. For example, data integration, which is linking and sharing data from disparate application sources or disparate data sources, right? By default, applications don't talk to applications, right? They provide an interface for that to happen, but they natively don't communicate with each other, right? Applications have essentially 2 methods of communication. They have a user interface, or UI, right? That's how you and I engage with it, whether that's browser-based or client-based or what have you. And typically they have a suite of APIs if they're a more modern application. Older applications, maybe it's file-based that they're communicating, or directly into a database type application. But by default, 2 applications don't communicate with themselves. So even if you have the most robust virtual infrastructure built on top of VMware, running the plethora of applications you have in your environment, right? Again, 2 virtual machines with 2 applications on the same VMware infrastructure, by default, don't talk to each other. So that data integration tool, something like Boomi provides, becomes really critical to linking and sharing data. Another one, for example, data synchronization, what we call master data management or data hub. And think of something in your organization that might be a common data record across multiple applications. I'll give you one example that usually resonates and usually quite common. So say, for example, your customer's address, right? It's probably in your CRM system, probably in your ERP system, probably in your support system, et cetera, right? But what if that address is updated? What if the customer moves? Or their ship to address changes even though their build to address remains the same, right? If that gets updated in one application, it doesn't automatically update in other applications, that can certainly create a challenge for the organization, especially if it's never updated or eventually it gets manually updated. Either way, it could create a big challenge. Maybe you shipped something to the wrong address and now we're trying to get it back or what have you, right? So synchronizing data. And an address is a fairly simple example. It might be patient information if you're a hospital. It might be student information if you're an education institution, right? Everybody kind of has what they would classify as their master data, right? And so using a tool like Boomi to help you with the data synchronization service to really enable that functionality. Things like data enriching. I'm sure you have data you've run across in some of your applications that may be incomplete. And again, we'll use the example of a customer's address. Maybe it's missing the 10-digit zip code. Or maybe, for example, I know this has happened to me in the past when I've moved cities. I'm sure I put in the old city I lived in with the new zip code that I now live in, right? So using services like a Boomi product to enhance the data and linking to other services such as cloud provided services that can do address lookups and synchronize that data, or a variety of different examples, not only just customer address. Again, that's just a simple example or a common example, but a wide variety of different things that might need to be enriched. So this is really a suite, as I mentioned, of data services wrapped up into a unified platform that really, I'm going to continue with the word unlocking or connecting, whatever you'd like to resonate on there, but really brings a lot of value to your organization and allows that data to really speed up and increase your organization's outcome. I want to talk about a few advantages Boomi has in what we provide. One of them is our distributed runtime. So one of the unique characteristics that we have in our data services platform is this build, deploy, manage interface is 100% browser-based, but our runtime is distributed. It really brings the best of the multi-cloud in both worlds together. So again, our build, deploy, manage interface, it's intelligent, it is a single instance multi-tenant. We have many customers, many thousands of customers using this platform. You obviously access it via your favorite browser, and it's updated as you would expect with any SaaS-based application. But what's unique about that is as you're building out your data processes and building out the way you want to do, say, data synchronization, the models for that, the actual data integration engine is a distributed engine, what we call an Atom. And that can be deployed anywhere you'd like it to be. And what that makes it very unique. It could be behind your firewall within your infrastructure. It could be at a multitude of different locations if you have different locations spread across those. It could be obviously in the cloud. It could be on edge devices running out in the middle of an oil field someplace, for example. So it really gives a lot of flexibility of how that happens. And data through the integration engine flows directly through that engine. Data doesn't go to the Boomi cloud. Again, it exists and communicates through that Atom or that data engine. And of course, we can cluster those together into what we call a molecule, so you can have high availability when it comes to that runtime. And the communications, essentially all the brains that molecule or atom receive come from the platform itself, including updates and everything else. So you completely manage it from the platform interface, and yet you can have these distributed runtimes. A really unique characteristic. The other aspect of Boomi that's very powerful is it's all UI based, essentially low code. You know, I was talking about Bob or Susie who wrote the script, and let's say they wrote a script in Python 5 years ago, and they're no longer with the company and it's broken, right? I don't know about you, but I could probably figure out Python code, probably take me a long time to really understand what's going on. And of course, everybody can code differently and may not make intuitive sense at all. And trying to fix what may be broken and really impacting the business, it's simply going to take too long. Well, this is what Boomi looks like. Very drag and drop, very graphical way of putting things together. So if you've never seen a Boomi interface before, you could probably get a gist of what something like this business process is doing. Again, it's drag and drop. You can see with the green arrows kind of the sequence of operations that's occurring. You can see the names of the endpoints that it's connecting to. And even just at this high level, which is what we call the process level, you can get a pretty good intuition of what Boomi is doing. And of course, very easy to learn Boomi, generally speaking. All our training is free and other things. So it's a tool that you can pick up quite quickly and get yourself very up to speed in a fast way. And along with our capability is this crowdsourced intelligence. One of the big benefits of being with the build, deploy, management interface we have in the cloud is all these characteristics we can bring to you to help things speed up and do things faster. Think of it as wizards in some sense, right? You're all familiar with tools like vCenter and those types of things from a VMware perspective that walk you through and simplify things like moving a virtual machine through vMotion, right? Just a couple clicks in the interface. Where am I moving it to? Those types of things. Obviously, those are tools that are built into interfaces to make operating those tools much easier. Well, Boomi has similar tools to really help you build your integrations and get them started faster, whether that's tools like a Boomi Suggest, which helps you with mapping data between applications, or a variety of what we call process libraries. Just think of them as templates to really get you started in connecting things. So all of this, again, to get your business outcomes accelerated, to have you connect those applications quickly and get yourself moving. Now, I want to walk through what a common deployment of Boomi looks like. So on-premises infrastructure, obviously cloud-based infrastructure and connecting all of those. So typically we would, as we saw on the previous slide, we would install our runtime within your environment on your premises. The runtime can run on a variety of different operating systems. It can also run inside a container, so it can be deployed in a wide variety of infrastructure. VMware is a great host for something like a Boomi molecule. And again, that molecule communicates to the Boomi platform up in the cloud, right? So again, you manage Boomi from your browser, have that molecule on site. Then we're typically talking to a wide variety of internal applications and data sources. Communicating with those, integrating those, again, whether that's flat files, or that's APIs, or that's databases, or again, a lot of different ways that we can communicate with data. We are typically then used to connect your on-premises applications and data sources to a wide variety of SaaS-based applications. I'm sure some of those logos, again, on this slide you may be using today, and there's certainly those that are extremely popular, and many, many others, of course. But then we're using to connect to cloud providers, and that may be a couple different things. It certainly could be where you have moved an application to the cloud, and that application still has dependencies to communicate to internal applications and data sources, and maybe using something like a Boomi, which can securely transfer that data and connect that data, is a very viable option for something like that. You also might be using a service in the cloud. Now, as I mentioned, Boomi is a suite of data services in and of itself, but one of the things we can also do is help you connect to other services. So maybe you have some information within your applications and you're looking for new ways to deploy it or new ways to display it for your users to interact with it. Let's say, for example, an SMS chat system. If you're a higher education institution and you're trying to provide something where students can text and say, what's the grade in my English class, or when is the midterm, right? That information obviously exists in your systems today, but you might need to integrate with a natural language processor so we can understand what is the grade in my class, and help you transfer that and do the lookup into your proper applications and respond. We're typically connected also to data warehouses and analytics, where we're grabbing data from a wide variety of different data sources to help feed those data lakes and feed those data warehouses, make sure those analytics engines have the data that they need to work with, and then taking the outcome of that and giving it to the other applications that need it as well. And then lastly, through our component called data catalog and prep, we would typically be installed within your premises on something like a VMware architecture, which is perfect for this product. And what this does is data catalog will walk all your data sources, build rich metadata libraries, and give you great interfaces to search for information, and then ultimately bring it into unique data sets through the data preparation function. Just a bit about Boomi itself from a business standpoint. We're one of the fastest growing cloud platforms today. We have over 11,000 customers. We have actually well over 26,000 now certifications. We have our certifications that I mentioned. Our training is all free if you go to boomi.com, and we certify a lot of people every week on the Boomi platform, which is great. We have a high customer satisfaction. We're growing by about 10 customers a day, and you can see some of the numbers on the bottom there. So we're quite a powerful platform, been around for a while, but growing quite rapidly in our capabilities and customer base. As I mentioned when I introduced myself, Boomi is a Dell Technologies company. We're part of the Dell Technologies family of businesses. And this is where we exist from the data pyramid standpoint. So you're probably all familiar with Dell and Dell EMC, what they have with all their great infrastructure from servers and storage and networking, client devices, all the great things there. Obviously with VMware, and not only with the client functionality, it's Workspace ONE, but Virtual Cloud Foundation, and all those capabilities, even the Tanzu functionality, certainly that VMware is bringing to market. And then Boomi from an application and data connectivity. So it's really all three of these together in this data pyramid are really part of the whole Dell Technologies value proposition, and a really powerful 1, 2, 3, if you will. So hopefully this information was useful to you. Hopefully you enjoyed this session. Hopefully you got a little bit of idea of the types of data services that your applications may take advantage of, or your business certainly would take advantage of, to help speed up your business, to help you digitally transform, and again, to really accelerate those business outcomes. If you want more information about Boomi, please visit our website at boomi.com. You'll learn a lot of information about Boomi itself and what we can do, and links to a wide variety of different information. Really thank you for your time. Hope you're enjoying the VMUG event, and we'll see you soon.